morning, everyone, and good evening and noon. So, as we said, that it's very hard for us to tell that from where exactly you're attending the conference. So, this is Ankita, and as mentioned on the slide, I'm the Chief Growth Officer of Beverage Trade Network. With me, it's Sid. So, do you want to just quickly give your intro, and then I'll take it over from you?
Sure. So I'm the CEO and founder of Beverage Trade Network, which organizes, competitions, which owns media assets, which organizes trade shows like this, USA Trade Tasting. The focus of Beverage Trade Network is really to connect brands with importers, distributors, and retailers, and now sommeliers and bartenders as well. We started USA Trade Tasting about 8 years ago, and this is the 8th year of USA Trade Tasting. So personally, I come from the background of wine brands. I built my own wine brands. I ran a wholesale house. So I have a really good context of, what everyone's looking for, be it the buyer or the seller, because I've been one. So that's my introduction, Ankita. Thank you.
Thanks, Sid. So, unlike Sid, I don't come from the industry, but then been in the industry for 5 years. So 2024 USA Trade Tasting is launched differently. So apart from the change in venue and change in location, we have received a lot of different feedbacks from all our exhibitors and visitors in terms of what would they like to see more at the conference or more at the expo floor. What are the expectations and aspirations of our current visitors, our current exhibitors, and the people who are actually our potential visitors and exhibitors. We have thought through it after 2023, and we have focused and implemented a couple of activities, which actually is a direct result of the feedback that we have received. So what we are planning to do. So this USA Trade Tasting, this webinar is basically for two categories. One category is the current exhibitors, the people who are actually with USA Trade Tasting, they're exhibiting, they're coming to our May event. And the second category are the people who can potentially attend it as a visitor or an exhibitor. What we are here for is to tell you that if you are an exhibitor already, what your 2 days of event are going to look like. And the second is that if you are not, why you should attend it. So as I said, objective of USA Trade Tasting, Chicago is still new to us. This is the 3rd year of USATT. And we still finding the challenges of what is the right location to put this event to, which are the right companies to call in the home to have a home run in the event. So we came across to the level 1 challenges. Now the level 2, what we are targeting is how we can pull the right visitors for our exhibitors. So this is the level 2 that we have tried in our year 2, along with setting up that we are in downtown. It's easily accessible. The location is amazing. We have the right speakers. The conference has been completely scheduled. We have an amazing set of small activities that we are going to do. But apart from that, the objective that is superseding everything is we want to connect the drinks industry in Chicago. And that is what we are keeping in mind. Quickly running how our event rundown for day 1 is going to look like. So exhibitors, so this is going to be for the exhibitors who are already with us. We usually start our day with the exhibitor setup. So our venue is open, the tables are being laid out. You already know what your table number is. You come, you take the expo floor and you look to your table, and then you can start preparing your day. So basically our day starts at 9 a.m. where all our exhibitors are welcome to set their tables, any sort of logistical arrangement or anything. My team is there, so we'll be able to help you out with whatever you need. This time there is a slight change in the conferences. So we have reduce the lengthiness of the conference. And the reason for it is because a lot of time we got this feedback from our exhibitors that if the conference are running parallel to the expo floor, the visitors are completely tied up in the conference. And we took that feedback, and that is the reason we have lessened down the hours of conferences, but that will not dilute the importance and relevance of the topics that we want to cover. We are still going to have importers panel. We are still going to have distributors panel. We are still going to run the success stories. We are still going to have panels on non-alcoholic and other things which are in trend. What we did is we have just converted our keynotes into more panels. So you see more faces, you hear more perspectives, but at the same time, we are not tidying up. We are not holding visitors for a long time in the conference room. So we have just reduced it to 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That is almost like half of the conference. Expo floor opens for B2B visitors. So why we have mentioned B2B very specifically this time is because USATT for the first time is opening its floor for B2C. So this time we are introducing consumers as well. But because it's a B2B trade show, we do not want to dilute the entire agenda of having a business to business conversation. This B2C angle is only limited for us. So it's not something that they are going to be for 2 days inside the room. But there will be a limited time that we have given to B2C segment, which will be somewhere around 2 to 4 hours, and that to a ticketed event. So we are not inviting anyone, but a set of group of people, can be influencers, people can be somewhere who are looking to know or entering into this industry, people who just want to open their own wine brands, who are really, really interested, and those are the category that we are invited for B2C. Sit down tasting, I'm just reading it because later on we have in-depth information, but sit down tasting, which is a very new concept that we have added. And the reason for it is we did a masterclass in 2023 USATT. We did 2 masterclass. We did wine masterclass and we did spirits masterclass, and we got a very good response. And by good response, I mean that although it was full, the learning, the attitude of people, the visitor that we saw, that they're passionate about learning the new varietals, new products which are coming in the market. And taking that, we have increased the sit down tasting. So what is sit down tastings? So sit down tasting in a nutshell are a small masterclass that are going to happen all across the USATT floor, but they will be timed and they will be limited in sittings. And these masterclass, these sit down tasting will be taken by our distillers, our winemakers. So we have kind of changed and tweaked the format, but this is something which will be beneficial. So for example, if I'm an exhibitor, if I'm at the expo floor, I'm exhibiting, and I'm definitely going to have my winemaker all the way from my city or from my country with me. Apart from just sitting on that expo, on that trestle table and meeting people, I can also have my own sit down tasting or a setup separately where my winemaker can show the same brands which I am getting on the expo floor to a set of people, let's say 6 B2B buyers or 6 B2B visitors who are there. And the same discussion, or the same to know more about my brand, or to have your story being told to all those 6. So the same setting can be done in a masterclass format. So this is what we have introduced in a sit-down tasting. We are doing SCA masterclass at the mezzanine floor. So SCA and BSA, these are the abbreviations of 2 competitions that we run in Chicago, and that stands for Sommelier Choice Award, which is for wine, and Bartender Spirits Award for spirits. These are the 2 competitions that we have it in Chicago, and we are trying to integrate it with USATT because the judges that we have for Sommelier Choice Award and Bartender Spirits Award are completely linked to the right visitors, to the speakers, to the attendees of USA Trade Tasting. So we are going to do the SCA Masterclass. That means all our winning brands of Sommelier Choice Award will be tasted, will be displayed to all the attendees of Masterclass. We have a B2B cocktail and networking party. This cocktail and networking party will only be on day 1. So we usually do a sort of an small gala at the same venue on the mezzanine floor, and we try to give an informal setup as well to all our exhibitors to relax, chat, take the conversations from the day ahead. So this is small rundown of our day 1. Same goes with day 2. So I'm not going to repeat everything again, but the day 2 exactly starts for exhibitors. They can still check in at 9 a.m. We have conference again at the same time between 10 to 1 p.m. The new thing and the change here is that the expo floor will open for B2C visitor from 4 to 6 p.m. because it's an end of, I would say, the event. These are the last 2 hours of the event. We definitely want consumers to also come. How this is going to help us? Exhibitors will definitely have a chance to speak to visitors, to get their feedback, to have their deals, to have their business going on. But it's really, really important for them to know that what the end consumers look for, what is their taste, what is their feedback. I'm sure that 2 hours is not a very long or a very lengthy hours for you to get all your answers, but I think this is just a start, and we also want to see how a B2C event at USATT looks like. And that is the reason why we want to put this angle of putting our visitors as well. We want to make it more relaxed. We want to make it more fun. And at the same time, we also want you to interact with the crowd of Chicago as well. So that was the whole point of introducing B2C. Sit-down tastings are again going to be 4 to 6 p.m. Like we had SCA, Sommelier Choice Award Masterclass on day 1. We are going to have Bartender Spirits Award Masterclass day 2, again with the winners of Bartender Spirits Award 2023. And then we will go for an exhibitor backup at 6 p.m. So this is an overview of the entire rundown for both the events. We'll take a closer look to how engaging these mini events are and what exactly the point is. So the conferences sessions will be divided into 2, that is day 1 and day 2. If you're an exhibitor and you are well aware of our website, all you need to do is to go on the session and see the conference. You will see entire lineup and entire schedule of the conference. The change that we did this year is that we have done a lot of panels. So that way the keynotes are lesser, but at the same time, we have more faces, we have more keynotes, and we have more industry known people coming in the conference and speaking to you. Conferences are one of our USPs. The reason for that, we always invite people who are in the industry relevant, buying category to supplying category, and that makes them so prominent because these are the people who are actually the decision maker and the guardians of Chicago drinks industry. And to hear from the horse's mouth is always good for you to take the right notes and to tweak your conversations when you are in the business meeting, to set your needs, to set what exactly the buyers of the Chicago are looking for. So it's very, very important for you to, yes, definitely present your brand, but at the same time, come in the conference and look for what exactly are they looking for. So I would say it's the other side of the story, but for that, it's important for you to look to our conferences. So look for the schedule, plan your day accordingly. If there is any session that you definitely want to attend, and if it's 2 of you, make sure that one of you definitely go for these sessions. Expo floor, I think it's pretty clear. So, but just to give you an overview of, so you understand what is conference floor. It's going to take place at the mezzanine floor. So Morgan Manufacturing, the venue, the event is divided on the ground and on the mezzanine. So on level 1, we usually have an expo floor, and on level 2, we do our conferences. But this time, the level 1 will have expo floor, masterclass, and sit-down tasting. So you will see a lot of events happening around you. And that means that there will be a designated complete expo floor with all the exhibitors. There will be small tables for our sit-down tastings, which are mini masterclasses. And then there will be a big masterclass for Sommelier Choice Award and for Bartender Spirits Award. So day 1 is completely for B2B visitors. So all the people from the category of importers, distributors, retailers, to retail chain buyers, to people from presses, all you are going to see on day 1, which is B2B, and on day 2 as well. The entire day, for both the days, B2B is going to be there. Where B2C comes is on day 2 from 4 p.m. onwards. But that does not mean that B2B is not invited. It's just that the B2B will have a small slot of coming and checking the event as well. These are the 2 mega masterclasses. These are the masterclasses that we are organizing. Sit-down tastings is something where we will have people applying for it and have people coming for their own brand. So winemakers will pitch us for a sit-down tasting, distillers will pitch us, brand owners, brand representatives will pitch us. But for masterclasses, these are the 2 masterclasses that USATT is bringing to the floor. Sid will take you in detail to why this integration was really, really important for us to do and how USATT will get benefit from Sommelier Choice Award and Bartender Spirits Award. Sit-down tastings, as I said, so let me just give you a little bit more context so you understand the importance of it, and you also understand that this is more like an opportunity that you should not let go. So sit-down tasting is going to be 24 small tables. So all I want you to visualize right now, so you are at an expo floor but there is a huge space with us where we are going to put 24 tables. Each table will have sitting for 6 attendees. These 6 attendees will have one person taking a session for 30 minutes. So if I am a winery and I am coming to USATT with my winemaker, and my winemaker is interested for a sit-down tasting, we will pitch. That means you will ask us for the sit-down tasting, and let's say we allot you a table for the sit-down tasting. There's a whole different process. So you can approach my sales team or you can write to me and say, but for example, your winemaker pitch us and we say yes for a sit-down tasting. That means you will get a table for 30 minutes with your products, the way you want to put the show on the table to all the 6 attendees. And the 6 attendees are first come, first basis. So there's no category that we can promise you. We cannot promise that who is going to sit on your table. It's all we are going to do is we are just going to put a list of sit down tasting already on our website that, hey, this winery is on table number so and this winery or this distillery is on table number so, and it's up to the attendees and visitors to come and sit on that table. All we are promising is 30 minutes, set up, 6 people, not 6 people is also not promising because that is something which up to the brand that people would like to, but yeah, let's say 6 people. What we are also promising is there is no limitation for you to just have one sit down tasting, 2 or 3. So if you want to have 2 sit down tasting today and tomorrow, feel free to do it. Because this 24 tables is going to be for 30 minutes on both the days. So whichever way you want to utilize on day 1 and day 2, feel free to use it. As I said, it is going to be first come, first basis. What is the filter here is these tastings can only be hosted by winemakers, distillers, importers, and brand representatives. So until unless we do not have these representation, it will become a little bit hard for us to conduct the right tastings because we actually want the technical people to take the taste. Brand owners manage tastings on their own. So I think these are the same. Brand pitch recordings. So what is brand pitch recording? So I am an exhibitor. I'm at the expo floor at my table. I'm talking to people. There is a different setup that we are going to do. So we always set up a small studio. So we have been doing this all across the years. It's just that these studios were used by speakers and by us. So once the speaker is done speaking, we used to call them and we used to do a lot of interviews with them. So the studio setup is not new. What we are introducing is we are introducing our studio setup to our exhibitors. So there's an opportunity for you to record your brand pitch. That means you can bring your product at the studio. We can take a shot of all your products along with you, and we want you to give your elevator pitch, your USPs of the product, why we should. And so this entire recording is on us, what we are promising. So these brand pitch recordings, how and why you should do it. So one is it's a setup that we give you. Second is it's an entire recording that we are going to give you. So it's not something where we are just going to record and give you the raw file. We are actually going to market it with the same branding that USATT has, and we are going to give it to you. And then it becomes a marketing material or a marketing file for you to use it wherever you want. But at the same time, we also promise to put it across all our platforms and all our social media. So this brand pitch recording are available at a prepaid basis at the mezzanine floor. As I said, that this is a studio. We are renting the studio, but at the same time, we are renting the services as well. It's a 15 minutes, which is being allocated to all brands to record their pitches. It's completely your pitch. There is no pre-written pitch that we are going to use. So it's on you, your products, your talk, and whosoever you want to convey to. Recorded brand pitches will be featured on USATT page until the next edition. That means one entire year, we are going to put it on our websites, on all our social media platforms. We'll try to publish it as much as possible in our newsletters and in our articles. Recorded brand pitches will be available to the brands within 2 weeks. So as soon as you come, you record it, we put it live and will be handed over to you with all the branding and all the material. So basically, this is ready to use. You don't have to do anything until it's the correct that you want us to do. But then these are the right promotional and right marketing tool that you can right away use it. So this is also one of the new things that we are introducing, and we really want to do it because what happens is we have been doing, but we were not able to capture all our exhibitors, or maybe we were missing the essence of capturing to what you want us to say. So this is something which will give it a right path, which will put it into a right framework. And we usually see a lot of requests coming for this, and that is the reason why we are now doing it in a more formal way. Because we usually get the request for recordings and pitches and all that, so we really want to make sure that we do not extend it to one or two minutes for all the exhibitors to take advantage of it.
Just a couple of other things to add on, which can be value add on your part on the logistics side. So we have 3 different country associations, at least, who have already committed to us joining. It's just the information is not public. Those other master classes of those countries, or regions, will also be included and integrated with the show. And there will be different bar setup. There is a whole region which is doing an open bar setup, in a very informal way. So there are different elements that we have been adding this year to sort of elevate the show, and experience of a visitor. So just on the why attend, right? As far as the visitor goes, the need of the visitor, the why this visitor should attend is really if they are looking to source a new brand. So if you are, first of all, an importer, which is our number one target, and a state distributor from different states, especially from the Midwest, the intent that we're trying to drive to that visitor is that you are open to source a new brand. So it's not just like another tasting or a consumer sort of tasting. This is really where you open a relation with a supplier. You want to try new brands. You have that intent, right? So we're focusing on that intent for the visitor. Second, it's Chicago, as she said. So we've been doing this show in New York City, and we moved to Chicago, just about 2 years ago. The reason was it's the second biggest city. It's actually got more growth. The spend, the high quality bars, the drinks, and the culinary scene of Chicago has been increasing. We've not seen decline in wine also in Chicago. So this whole category of wine, beer, spirits has been actually growing in the Midwest, and I'm sure some other people can testify for Texas as well. But these are some two strong pockets in US where we've seen solid growth. Personally, we've moved a lot of our ecosystem from San Francisco to Chicago because our goal was to make our infrastructure, our connections, our sort of know-how in Chicago stronger. And with that, we've been moving our two big competition events, which she mentioned, which is Sommelier's Choice Awards and Bartender Spirits Award. And the reason we're mentioning this, folks, is between those two competitions, we're talking about 300 top quality judges. These are the buyers who you want to meet to. These are the big restaurant buyers. These are the master sommeliers. These are the head bartenders, the top bartenders of America. So that's the good news. This year, this is the first time we are having Sommelier's Choice Awards and Bartender Spirits Awards fully integrated in Chicago ecosystem. Back to for the visitor, what you will be also experience by coming to USATT this time, because of a lot of different things, is the longevity of your time at the show. Before, in the previous years, we just had conference and then you just had to walk the floor like many other shows and then go back. But this time we're activating a lot of different things that you're able to spend time, you're able to sit down. And the practical reason of sit down is maybe you just want to sit down and take some rest and while taste and chat to a winemaker or a distiller, right? So you're there at least in the venue. So we have positioned the show where with keeping in mind that you're actually going to be at the show, and we don't want you to live the show. So this message is mainly for the exhibitors to understand that we're also working to make sure that a visitor who enters the show sort of experiences full till 6 p.m. And then join the cocktail party as well. Right now, here's the main one: the why exhibit. So I'll break this down with the four biggest category of exhibitors. Starting with number one. So if you are a brand, if you are a brand in US, let's say a winery or a distillery in US, looking to grow state distribution, especially in Midwest, this is the show that you should really, really exhibit, because that's what you will expect. And that's what we are aiming to bring you to your table, right? Number two, if you are an overseas winery or a distillery looking for an importer in the US market, this is the show that you should also exhibit, because we are also aiming to bring in importers and distributors. Now, I'll come later on in other slides on how many you can expect and whatnot based on the reality of our three-tier system today. But this is really a show where you will have you will be able to connect with importers and you will be able to connect with distributors. So those are the two main reasons if you fall into that category of an exhibitor. Number three is if you are already in the state of Illinois, and if you want to penetrate deeper into pockets of Illinois, and especially Chicago, if you want to see more sommeliers, bartenders, or retailers, this is also the show. So if you are falling into these three categories, you really, really will, I think, be happy with the show. As far as brand that are looking, so for example, to expand into, let's say, East Coast or West Coast, for sure we will have a handful of distributors and retailers, but I think that would be maybe 50 out of 1,200. So the audience profile will be mainly Midwest, Chicago, as far as the whole, 75% goes, and then 25% would be sort of other states, between all other states. But if you're really, really eyeing for New York, I can say maybe 50 people would come from New York, let's say. So each state, you can imagine that it would be maybe 50 to 100, from east and west, and then south, north, other areas you can expect about 25%, but overall 75% would be around, this 5 to 6 Midwest states. Other things, as she said, on why exhibit, this is really more of an experience or business meetings that you should think of. So expo floor, you just purely use it for biz dev. You collect your business cards. You try to, if you come across a distributor or an importer, you really have to sell yourself as a supplier. You have to sell yourself, the need, why they should import. You have to understand and do research, and that's more of a follow-up game, right? So if I was an exhibitor, I would really do as many hellos and make my stand attractive, make some products and pricing available, and also have a solution that, okay, if you are a state distributor that is interested in my brand and I'm an overseas winery, but I don't have an importer, I still would, have a solution to start doing business with the distributor. And we can help you with that. Like we do work with MHW, Park Street, and some clearance houses, which can at least get you started, right? So come with that preparation and intent, because as we all know, like getting an import and then getting a distributor, instead, I would advise, start whichever way you can if you get a buyer, and then, start with this clearance houses at least till you find an importer as well. Conference is something which is completely, everyone can attend because it's a different set of time now. So use this to learn about the US market. And this is where you will actually be talking to the importers and distributors, ask them the questions, do networking, connect with them, learn from them, make notes. Right now, networking, we're actually throwing the cocktail party mainly for you guys, exhibitors, right? So after you're done, 6 to 7 is where you sort of network with all the speakers, with all the key people. We'll be inviting all our judges of Sommelier's Choice Awards, Bartender Spirits Awards to join the cocktail party as well. So this is the time you sort of network and continue the conversation in your biz dev. And then the sit down tasting is something which I think one gentleman just asked me this question, so I'll answer this in the group as well. Sit down tasting is something which you really can sort of, take your meeting to the table as well. So if I was an exhibitor, to be honest, I would block my 4 to 6 sit down tasting, and then I would tell my biz dev people, say, hey, come and meet me at 4 o'clock. I'll be pouring this and going in detail, right? So try to use that as your double down, double click, and invite your own people to sit if you want, and then put a reserve sign on your table. It's your table. We're not going to touch anyway, right? So figure out your own growth hack on how to use it. But if I was you, I would start biz dev in advance and invite my key prospect, actually, who I want to do a nice sit down meeting. Use that as a meeting table, put it that way. So you have, all day you can do this, and then you can use the sit down tastings for your technical masterclass. And at the same time, you can go deeper with your distributors and importers as well. So I would suggest that a good tip. The question the gentleman asked was, do I have to leave my table and go to the sit down? So if you are the only one, yes, unfortunately. But I did answer him. We are more than happy to help some staff man your table at whatever, like $25 an hour, let's say. So for $50, if you're okay to leave your table and go and do your sit down, if you're alone, and train our staff that just collect and pour some wine, collect business cards, we'll be more than happy to help you if you're alone. So we'll go on the next slide. Just before that, Ankita, I think you also wrote pre-buzz and post-buzz, right? So that's something which, if you did brand pitch videos, and brand pitch videos is really your pitch, like really, why an importer should do business with you, why a distributor should take your brand in the portfolio, why a retailer should pour your Pinot Noir, for example, So that pitch is real business pitch. If you had that pitch, imagine that you will, throughout the year, sort of get biz dev, because we normally get almost 20-30,000 visitors a month on our website, which will go and be interested in your brand as well. And you can use that video as well. So that's just one example. But apart from that, we'll be doing, content stories. We'll be sort of promoting you. And post for this, something which I've just mentioned, like it's really on how well you are prepared, how much you really want to put in the effort into sort of meeting as many people as you can, calling people to your table. Now if you have a sit down, you can say, hey, come in, join me at the sit down. I'll be myself pouring this and talking about it. I'll have my winemaker talking about it. So you can use that. You can invite, if you really have an importer or distributor, I'm more than happy to add them in our guest list for the cocktail party. Feel free to let us know as well. The point here is it's really, you also have to put in so much effort to use this 2-3 days of Chicago, sort of, with the focus of meet as many people as you can, and have solutions ready before. The last thing you don't want is any bartender even to walk away without anything. So have a route to market ready. And again, it's a separate conversation. We're more than happy to help. Even if someone wants to buy 5 cases, you should have a solution. And we do have a solution for that, even if you're not imported, for example. So here's the main slide, right? The main question that everyone would want to, get an answer to: who's attending and what kind of buyers we can expect at the 2024 USATT Trade Tasting. So as far as the buyer profile goes, our number 1 focus will be distributors. Our number 2 focus will be importers. And because Chicago and Illinois is a 2-tier state, which means a lot of importers would also be, having a wholesale permit and would be distributors. It's a good thing. So you will, in fact, even if that's a distributor you come across, you can always ask them that, do you also have an import license? Can we get started with you at least for your state? You can distribute, but the moment I find an importer, I'll move my stuff there, right? So you can start those conversations with them. So those are our number 2, 2 top categories that we aim to invite. Number 3 would be the important retailers, the retailers that, you would want to see. If I was a brand, I know who I would want to see, right? So, I would want to see basically Binny's of the world, or, big main street liquor stores who would be doing $5 million+ business. I would want to see restaurant chains like, 50 Group, for example, or Jim Bob, I would want to see, for example. So I would want to see any restaurant buyer or a bar manager or a retail outlet, which sort of falls into the category of 5 and more. So that's something which we are really eyeing for. We are also eyeing for inviting some regional chains like Festival Foods of Ohio, for example, or the chains which are in the pockets of Midwest, like Missouri, Michigan, all the states that you see near Chicago. Any regional chains, we are also inviting them there. So that's a great, again, advantage that you will have. But again, guys, this is something which I'll repeat again, but make sure you have route to market. What we don't want is even the buyer, a festival food buyer, walks in there and wants to do business with you, but can't. They are ready to do a private label or a small batch pallet, but you should have a route to market and be ready to start a business with Wegmans or Festival Foods. For example, we have Wegmans coming as well, right? Which is a big supermarket. So let's go on the next slide. These are some names. We'll send you this slide, but you will see a lot of importers and distributors. The names that you see here are 100% registered, right? So this is not an advertising. This is already people who have registered as a visitor for the 2024 USATT Trade Tasting. So these are just the registered names that we're showing you. So same, just you can see the details. Basically, you can actually, again, one more growth hack. You can actually email them as well separately that, hey, you're coming to USATT Trade Tasting. We are also exhibiting. Would love to set up a meeting there as well. What we can't do, folks, is one more question that we've always been asked by exhibitors is, can we get visitor list? So I had this question in our FAQ, but I'll answer it here. Unfortunately, we can't give you the visitor list for 2 main reasons. All our 100 exhibitors will sort of start messaging, people. So what we're trying to do is have a feature where you can actually see the list, but not their contact details, not their emails, not their phone numbers, and you can request meeting to 20 people at least. So that way you will be proper, laser focused for requesting the meeting. So we'll allow some limit, but we're planning to integrate this in your exhibitor zone, and this gives the visitors a first preference where, okay, they can select if they want to meet with you or not. Instead of sort of we soliciting them, they let them say, okay, I want to accept this meeting of A versus B and so on, right? So we are trying to figure out a way where you at least have some chance of sort of prospecting the visitor list that we will be generating. So again, more names. You can see this on the website as well on who's attending. So if you go to USA Trade Tasting under visitor, you will see who's attending, and all these names are there, and you can pretty much start, messaging them as well that you are coming to USATT and we are also exhibiting and so on. Back on the Sommelier's Choice Awards and Bartender Spirits Awards. So I'll just quickly summarize this in a couple of main highlighted points. Between these two competitions, I think there are about 200 very, very, very important restaurant and bar industry professionals across the USA, which we are flying them all over, from different states to Chicago, right? So that's completely the budget well spent, easily $20,000, I would say, in hotels and flights for this 200 VIPs. So we plan to have them at USA Trade Tasting. And this is the first year we're doing this because we're doing this competition in Chicago now. It's just happening 2 days before this Chicago show intentionally so that they stay there for 3 days. So that is our game plan to get the big and important sommeliers and restaurant buyers and the bar managers of the US market be part of the show as well. Just some name. Now, for example, like Mike Ryan is sort of the biggest buyer. Not many people would know Orico International, but Orico International is a firm that manages all airport lounges. So he's also one of the names that's our judge and would be coming to USA Trade Tasting. I think you can go to Sommelier's Choice Awards and Bartender Spirits Awards judges, and you will see the bio. And again, same thing. If I was a supplier, I would sort of start a little biz dev that, hey, we are also coming, hoping to meet you at the cocktail party or something like that in a soft way if you really want to sort of start mingling with them as well. Just some names here, especially this three, I'm not sure if you know, but these are some really, really good names like Cassandra from pretty much, Gibson's Restaurant Group of Chicago, one of the good names of Chicago. She's our judge and she'll be joining. Rachel, Levy Restaurant, which manages all the stadiums of USA, $1 billion buyer, based in Chicago. So she will also be joining. Mina Group, I'm sure many of you know from San Francisco. So Jeremy, who's the corporate wine director, will be also joining. So just sharing this context so you really understand that this year, we've really handpicked people and flying them to Chicago. Jim Bob, again, one of the super important guy of Chicago. He buys for 26 restaurants. So he was the one who did the masterclass at USA Trade Tasting last year. So similarly, we would be again involving them via the masterclasses and inviting sommeliers to attend the masterclass, because the masterclass would be really aimed for the restaurant professionals. Same thing. Yep. All right, cool. So let's go here and we'll spend some time here. But let me just quickly go over some of the main questions that we often get, from exhibitors. So how many visitors can we expect, and a breakdown and type of visitors? So I already gave you the breakdown profile, but we're expecting about 1,200 to 1,500 visitors over 2 days. 75% would be from Midwest, about 6 to 7 states, and 25% would be, from all other states. Breaking that further down, I think about 300 is an ambitious goal, but even if we get 300 importers and distributors between 2 days, that's a big number. Just to give you perspective, like in all honesty, there are just about 500 good importers and distributors left in the whole US market, right? So we are aiming to really get everyone who's in Midwest to at least come to USA Trade Tasting. So that's really our goal, and we've already at around 50, I would say, as far as the distributors go. Will I be able to set up the prior meetings with my visitors? So I've answered this question. Yes, you can invite through a limit. That feature will soon go, but here's another way you can set up your meetings. You can tell the visitor to set up a meeting with you. They can find you in the list of exhibitors, and they have to request a meeting for you. So right now, that is the feature that we have. So if you already have someone, you can just say, that, hey, you will see me in your visitor zone, and please request a meeting, instead of as I said, we'll soon be allowing exhibitors to sort of solicit the visitors with the 20 limit in exhibitor zone soon. Why Chicago? I think we've already touched base on that. And to be honest, for the love of Chicago, it's an amazing city. You'll have fun. The location, the West Loop, Chicago. It's just a good vibe. It's fun to do business. I think I can keep selling Chicago, but it's just an amazing city to come to as well. All right, so I think same demographic. I've just written it there. For sure, you can hold me accountable for the demographic, but that's my goal to make sure that this is what we're really, really aiming to, attract this year at the USA Trade Tasting over 2 days. The B2C is just a little test run, as she said. So, use that as your test data. Ask the questions to the consumer. Hey, what do you think of this trend? Are you buying? How much would you pay? So I would use B2C as more of a market research if I'm new to the US market. All right. So another important question, maybe not many people have asked, but I'm sure it's in your mind on how do we plan to market the show overall, right? How are we going to get this 1,200 visitors, for example, right? So we have partnered with 3 main associations this year: Wine and Spirits Wholesalers Association of Illinois, Illinois Distillers Association, Illinois Restaurant Association, and then even the United Bartenders Guild of the Illinois chapter, right? So these are some new initiatives that we've done. Last year, we also had WSWA, for example, came and do some talk on the compliance. We will most probably have them as well. We've also partnered with Hemp Beverage Alliance. So there is a hemp beverage, panel where sort of, there will be inviting a lot of wine and beer spirits distributors who are sort of interested in hemp products as well. So we have partnered with that association as well. And then Songwriter's Choice Awards, Bartender Spirits Awards, again, the same thing. And I'll show you some other things on how we plan in the next slides as well. But the obvious other answers are there as well, like full media advertising, B2B, ecosystem of Beverage Trade Network that I'll go over other slides. A lot of one-to-one physical invitations will happen in the last 2 weeks around that whole Chicago Midwest area. We will literally be knocking doors and giving hard copy invites. And this year we'll be also inviting and posting physical invite tickets to all the wholesalers of Illinois. Just on the cost to exhibit for people who don't know yet, I'll go over that so there is a clear understanding of what you get in what. So exhibitor table is $2,600. You can bring a roll-up table, you get a pretzel table of 6 foot, and you get 2 chairs. And it's a pretty easy setup. So you come in and you get the spittoons, the ice bucket, and a linen, basically. What you get in this is also 2 conference passes and 2 cocktail passes. Right now, if you want to do a sit down, if you want to book your sit down table, we only have 26. So that's usually in the first come first basis. And as she said before, we really are trying to curate a nice program for the visitors. So we really want to make sure that it is the winemaker who's at the table, it is the distiller who's at the table, or it is the importer of your product who is at the table. If you are just a sales representative or an export manager, we'll sort of come back to you. But the first preference for sure is the makers and the importers, because this also allows, here's one more thing, this also allows importers to be in the room, because we're also actually giving some sit down tastings to some key importers of US who are already coming and doing that sit down, for their portfolio as well. It's just a nice upsell, basically $400 more, and you can sort of book the sit down, and you will also get the 15-minute brand pitch video recording. So you can do the whole suite for $3,000. You get everything, and otherwise you can do the $2,600 if if you think that's the right budget for you. Sponsorships, for sure, you can do other things. It's on the sponsorship page as well. It's on the exhibitor page. You can see other things, like notepads or coffee or tea or cocktail party. You can see how other ways you can get involved as well. Again, we can go on the next slide, but this event is hosted by Beverage Trade Network. One of the new asset that we've added is the Chicago Drinks Guide. which is a new media asset really to go in the culture of the drinks industry of Chicago. So, we're going to be using and leveraging that as well. So just for some people, in a nutshell, Beverage Trade Network is divided into 4 pillars. The B2B platforms, which is like Get Drinks Delivered or Beverage Trade Network itself. Then competitions, we have various competitions, including our big one, which is London Spirits competition and so on. Then the trade shows and the media assets. So we'll just show you some logos so you can get a perspective. These are some of our trade shows, which are relevant for this crowd. Bartender Spirits Awards, USATT ratings, Sommelier's Choice Awards, London competitions. Next. So why I'm showing you this is pretty much between all our competitions and trade shows, easily there are about 10,000 sort of brands that we work every year just as our customers, right, which we value. And we are going to leverage this buyers and sellers into the USATT trade tasting with a lot of backward integration, a lot of complimentary tickets, a lot of, hey, if you're coming here, why don't you come here, and so on in a technical way, right? And same goes with the media assets. Like, for anyone that is, the Chicago Drinks Guide is a great example to drive our B2C part of the show, because the Chicago Drinks Guide, this whole global drinks guide, is a consumer platforms that we've started, like pretty much like Times Out, or like, if you know how that model works, but it's really the curious wine drinker or the spirits drinker, the actual person who's interested in making home cocktails and whatnot, right? So if they want to know where to drink, what to drink, what's going on in the city, these are the city guides, and we're going to leverage Chicago Drinks Guide for this event as well. Cool, some B2B assets. Alrighty. So I just wanted to finish fast. So I hope I don't want to waste time in the media assets, but the idea was to really use the Beverage Trade Network system to generate content, to drive traffic for the show. And now overall, the whole ecosystem is fully focused in the last 45 days at least to drive traffic for USATT trade tasting collectively. So let's ask questions. Ankita, if you have any questions, you can see. But guys, feel free to chat. I think if you want to ask questions, maybe you can raise a hand, and I can just add you if you're comfortable with the video, or you can mute your video and ask a question as well, or post it in the comments.
Yeah, so I think we have questions from Ryan and Kevin. These
Sure.
are things that I'd say. So would 2 hours be required? Is it a 2-hour period for sit-down tasting, but it is not 30-minute slots that are allocated?
Good question. I mean, good point, because I'll clarify that. So she said 30-minute slots, right? So it's a 4 slot of 30 minutes each. So in your schedule, when you put it out, so it will be, let's say Ryan's winery sit-down schedule have 4 slots, 4 p.m. to 4:30, 4:30 to 5, 5:30 to da-da-da. So you change the batch and we'll do a glass reshuffle and clean up, right? So every 30 minutes, a new batch you would want on your table. So that's how it will work. But you can sit down, just stay there for 2 hours. The audience will keep changing. So technically, you will meet 24 different people who you will go deeper with and in pouring your products.
We have a question from Kevin. He asked that we are a small distributor of 4 SKUs of pouring spouts. New to the industry, we need retailers to stock and sell our product. So is this a show that we should be attending?
Yeah, I mean, if you are a distributor in Illinois, 100%. But if you are a distributor outside of Illinois, I'm sure you know the answer. You cannot sell to the retailers of Illinois. So then it wouldn't make sense. If you're a state distributor outside of Illinois and you want to come in as an exhibitor, it would not make sense unless you have a retail permit or license for Illinois. But yes, for sure, you fall into that category, which is a very good category to exhibit, because you will be meeting the mass. Actually, for you, it's the best.